never imagined, thinking myself where I'm at right now in my life, then, not at all, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, stepping outside my comfort zone and taking risks, that's all a part of growing, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't do something, I've always followed a certain quote, like, if it's not scary, if the goal is not scary, it's not worth pursuing. Right? So it needs to be scary to be worth pursuing.
Yes.
Right? For it to mean something to you.
Welcome, Tony, to the studio. Thank you for coming in. You're the founder or co-founder of Formula Fitness.
Correct.
Personal training.
Yes, sir.
How's your year going?
It's going awesome. Thank you for having me here, Amar, and it's been a pleasure. This is a wonderful setup you have going on here, and our relationship here, working out with me at the gym, has been awesome, and I'd like to see how everything's gonna grow with us, and yeah.
So Tony, you've been you own a personal fitness training gym. So it's not a normal gym.
Correct.
It's very it's a personal trainer.
Correct. Yes.
And how long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing personal training since 2003, so it's been quite a while. Yeah, quite a journey. And just to kind of briefly, just got into personal training, made a small career change to go into the fire service. Did that for a little bit, but I did a lot of volunteering, so didn't pay any bills, so I still had to do personal training on the side and everything like that. So I've always been in fitness and for quite a while now. Yeah.
So where did the fitness come into your mind? Did you start it in school, or like where did you realize that you like working out? Because most people either hate it, or was it a thing that you wanted to go to the beach? What was the where did it come from?
I think it all started out when I was playing football pretty much.
And this was how old were you when you were?
I started playing football when I was 13.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how I got introduced into exercise, because as a football player you got to have strong muscles to play the sport, right? So, but that's how everything started, and football was my life growing up.
And you're talking about American football, right? Because in England, because I'm sure there's some England watchers here who are going to say, "Hey, soccer."
Yeah, exactly. So, with the helmets, the shoulder pads, and the grunting, that was the sport I was playing all most of my life. And but anyways, after I stopped playing football and after I got an injury.
Now, were you a big guy, small guy, skinny guy? Like, what were you back then when you were playing football?
I think for my age, I was like in high school. I'm probably about the same stature right now. So a senior in high school is 5'9", 185. Right now I'm 5'9", 190. So, but yeah, about the similar stature. Yeah.
So now you're playing football, and you got an injury. So are you training like growing up in football? Like, are you practicing exercise then, or this is what's pushing you into this?
Oh yeah. So what made me push me into it is I remember just applying around one day, and I was working at some like dispatch center, just actually like a very Stone Age version of Uber pretty much, and they're out of business now. But anyways, I got a phone call from Bally's, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to interview. Got an interview with the fitness manager, interview with the operations manager that same day. I was hired on the spot, but that's what really kept me close to playing football, or something that made me relate to football. I love the teamwork atmosphere, the hard work atmosphere, and then showing the clients and the people how to do this and inspiring them. So that's what kind of got me involved initially in the very beginning.
So like when you were going to Bally's, right? So was that because you wanted to stay close to the exercise part, or this was because you just needed money? Was it a money thing?
It was not a money thing, because I didn't make that much money.
So you think Bally's never used to pay that much?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it gave me some money to, as a kid, I think I was like 19 at the time, just to have some play money, but nothing crazy. But it was a passion, though. It was a passion. I enjoyed, helping people. I enjoyed, being that drill sergeant. I enjoyed being that inspiration to people, to help people.
So were you, so when you were at Bally's, what were you actually doing there? Like how was it when you started? What were you doing there? Were you doing personal training immediately there, or were you training to be a trainer? What were you doing there?
Yeah, I was actually a personal trainer. So I think from day one, I was a personal trainer. They did put us through, I think, a 1-week course to kind of, just get things jump started. This is how you sail. This is how you would use your current knowledge right now, and this is how you would apply effectively, right? So I would say they did a good job of all that. They taught me how to stretch, all those different things.
Were there people who actually had joined in that position who shouldn't have been in that position? Like, like people joining, was there people who say, hey, this guy's just here for the money, versus you saying that I'm here to learn more?
I can't really recall about as far as like the money situation, but I think the fitness industry is one of those very unique industries where when you're in the fitness industry, you typically want to be in. And from what I remember, those group of people that went through that training course with me, it was all top-notch guys. All the girls and the guys looked the part, spoke the part, lived and breathed it. So, from what I remember, yeah.
So okay, so you're doing Bally's, you're training, you're learning everything. How long were you there, and where do you stop? Where do you go from here? Yeah,
I think I was at. So it all first started in Bally's, Anaheim. I was there for maybe like 2 years. Went to Bally's in Huntington Beach for a couple years. Then I went to 24 Fitness. A brand new one opened up. I was like, hey, it's down the street. My clients can follow me over. Brand new gym. Then I went to 24 Fitness, not Huntington Beach, Hollywood, and worked there for a little bit and got the exposure. I was a little nervous at first, but when I established my clientele, I was like, hey, this is not so bad working with actresses and different celebrities, and so it was very interesting. Then that's when I got into the fire service. So while you were working, then you started the fire service. So are you just volunteer? So you just decide, hey, I have a passion for this. I want to be it. Is something that you saw as growing up? Like, where did this come into your mind? I think so it was in 2008, I decided, hey, you know what? Like, I've been doing for personal training for a while.
Were you married at this point, or?
I was not. Okay. Yeah. So I was still single and everything. So the decision making was a little bit easier then. So in 2008, I decided to make that career change, and it came down to either go to the Air Force to become a fighter pilot or go to become a firefighter. And I chose the firefighter route just because time-wise it worked out a little bit better.
What do you mean by time-wise?
As far as like to go to the Air Force to become an Air Force pilot, you needed to be an officer, which required a 4-year degree.
Okay.
And I didn't have a 4-year degree at that time. So, and to become a firefighter, you don't need that 4-year degree, right? So you just need the experience, the academy, and to test well and also interview well, and that will get you in.
So what did you think, like, by joining the fire department? What did you think that you were going to get out of it? What was it you wanted from it?
What I wanted from it was basically, I wanted a simple life, and I still want a simple life.
Simple life of running into buildings while it's falling down. That type of simple.
I wanted camaraderie. I wanted something that was gonna help me be active and doing the working out, because I was very passionate about that at the time. I still am, but at the same time, it allowed me. I seen all the other firefighters. Hey, they got homes, they got RVs, they were going on vacation, they got time off, right? So that kind of inspired me to kind of go down that route too.
What about the danger of the fire department? Like, was that ever a factor, thinking that you could be in a very dangerous situation? That
not necessarily. I think the reason why is because I think maybe a part of it is, playing with fire a lot growing up. I understood it.
Was that flicking matches or?
Flicking matches, burning things down. There's a lot of close calls, right, that, I can talk about later. But I think, just as an athlete and you go into a game and you're going, basically every time there's a football game, it feels like you're going to war, right? My team against your team, who's going to win. That's kind of how it felt to me. That's kind of how I put it. But I think when you study fire technology as much as I did and all the other people who go down this route, when you study it and really truly understand it, it takes the surprise out of it, so it's no longer as scary, right?
So the process, like a lot of people look at a fireman and say, wow, it's an amazing career, or I would like to be one. It's like every kid's dream, right? Like to be a fire guy. What's the process? Like, how did you figure out what the route was to even get into it? Like, how did you figure that out?
Google is always a good one, right? Google is always a great one. But I think reaching out to a couple of different mentors or friends that were in the fire service.
Okay.
One, I give credit to a gentleman called, his name is Abet Martinez. I went to high school with him, played football with him. He was already hired on at Santa Ana Fire Department. He invited me over, showed me the ropes, what to expect, the day in the life, how to kind of go through the steps. Another person I give a lot of credit to is retired battalion chief, Dalton. He mentored and showed me the different ropes too. But yeah, it is a process. Just really briefly, you apply, written test, oral interview, psychological test, physical test, background investigations where they talk to everyone, and then they give you a conditional offer. So it can be a long process.
And how's the training though? So obviously you go through a training process there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they give you the clothes to wear. Obviously they look very heavy. And I presume that it feels like you're wearing your football gear when you're wearing it.
Plus more, yeah.
Plus more.
Yeah.
And then you see those videos of the people with the hoses. So how's the training? Like, how intense is the training of? Do people fall off the wagon because of some of that?
I would say the structure with everything, and now how and how everything is, I guess, like always viewed, and everything is always conservative nowadays because of lawsuits and this and that. There's always a lot of policies and procedures in play. There has been a lot of different injuries before in the past, deaths before in the past. Anytime that happens, a new rule gets implemented, right? So, but I would say it feels pretty safe. The equipment's pretty heavy, but the training is pretty hard, but not to the point where you feel like this is, too much just because you prepared for it. That's one. But I would say I remember going through the training process once with one particular fire department, and they were just kicking our butts. Me and two other new guys, they're just kicking our butts. And the captain asked us, "Hey, do you know why we're training you so hard?" He's like, "Oh, just to see how tough we are." That was my comment. He's like, "No, we want you to understand your thresholds." Right? So we don't want you pushing yourself past your limits to the point where you're worthless and now you're no longer a part of the team.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, but now this is like going back to where like the Ballys and the capabilities of training, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to push yourself, like at the gym, obviously you have to work out, and if people don't realize that it's patience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you go there and you push some weights and then all of a sudden you're Arnold.
Yes, yeah. Arnold's a different story, but yeah.
So is it still progression? And that's what, like, when you go there and you say, it's not so hard where people can't do it, but do people still have to put in the time and the effort to get results even as a firefighter?
Yes. I mean, everything, just like everything in life, the way I like to explain fitness and health is just like your relationship with your wife, your kids, your business, your friends. The more time and energy you put into something, the more or the better odds of a return that you will get. Yes. So, but I would say just like anything, it is the consistency. It's when you're tired, it's when you're busy, it's when you're stressed, is when you'll put those things off. But it's something that you also have to make it a priority. Hey, no matter what happens, I'm gonna make it happen. Just like you, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. You make it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, like when you watch movies, and I'm trying to relate to the movies, obviously I'm not a fireman, but like when you relate to the movies where the bell goes, the guys are sleeping, or he's cooking and he leaves his pot on the stove while he's running. Is that reality?
It is to a degree. It is to a degree. So if you're sleeping, bell goes off, and someone doesn't show up, what do you say? Oh, I was just sleeping. That doesn't happen. The bells go off. Yeah. You get up. You immediately go straight to the engine, turn on your gear, and go straight to the call. And also, there's typically tones and automated voices that tell you what type of call it is. Is it an emergency medical-related call? Okay. Is it a fire? Is it a utility-based call? But yeah, that typically happens. But yes, Hollywood does dramatize a little bit the different things. But as far as like fires, if if the building is like, if this building was fully involved, flames everywhere coming out of the door, of course you don't go in.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be a particular scenario where we do enter a building.
Do you, like, even with that timing, do you guys practice like the bell goes off of how quickly you can get to the truck? Do you actually?
We do.
You do that?
We do is we do something called a bunker drill. So to put on your gear effectively and quickly is not very easy, just because there's just probably more than about anywhere between probably about 30 to 60 steps that you just, you know, that you're putting on your gear.
What type of gear are you putting on?
We call them structure gear. So that's your traditional, the yellow turnouts that you see. That's what, you know, you get tested on. So traditionally it's 1 minute to put on all the gear.
So you get timed on that?
Yes, sir.
And in the beginning, when you were trying to do this, were you actually meeting your time, or were you?
I was nowhere near that time.
So it's that difficult?
Yeah, I was nowhere near that time.
Man.
I think in the very beginning, I think it was 60 seconds. I was getting maybe 2 minutes and 40 seconds or something like that.
When someone's like, hey, you just died. You just killed people by not making your pants on.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, like if there is an emergency going on at your house, there is a certain expectation of me getting to your house effectively. You don't want me showing up 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Right. Every minute counts. Every second counts. Right.
Yeah. So you get your timing down. You're rushing to these places, getting to a scene and evaluating the scene. Like, are you trained on evaluating scenes of what to do and what not to do? Like, what is it that you're looking for primarily when you get to a house burning down?
Yeah, I'll say we're all trained as a firefighter, as a crew. A traditional crew will have one captain, one engineer, and two firefighters. That's traditional. I mean, I've been to departments where it's just a three-person crew, one engineer, one captain, one firefighter. But traditionally it is four, but the captain is the one that's overall, the supervisor is the one who does the scene size up. He does the general impressions. He kind of makes sure as we do everything. But to make the team a lot more effective, each person needs to understand all the different things going on, because the captain may be over here. He may not see what's going on over here. Yeah. Hey, captain, maybe this is important for you to know. When I get on the radio, let them know. So we all kind of do a general size up and a general impression, you know, to let ourselves know what we need the next task to be.
Yeah. So what about like the psychological thing of trying to see something that, you know, most people are not used to? Like, let's say you see a scene that there's a horrible scene, and you see something that messes with your mind a little.
Yeah, I would say I've heard different stories, and I've come across certain people where they got into the fire service initially and they see dead bodies or see tragic things with babies or infants or blood, and they just can't handle it and they quit, which is common, you know, and so that does happen. It's just not for them, which is fine. It's just not for them. But yeah, I think you kind of get immune to certain calls as far as like death and you know, dismembered body parts and things like that. Yeah.
Do they advise on how to deal with something like this? Like, are you kind of given like some pictures to look at this and see how dangerous this is? Are you given pictures and stuff like this?
Yeah, I think like you're exposed to all this stuff. Like even in fire technology, when you're taking these classes, they prep you.
What's fire technology?
Fire technology is basically the study of how fire works, fire suppression, the science of fire, like what's combustible, what's not, the chemistry behind it, right? So that's all considered fire technology. And basically, it's the fire service in a course, pretty much.
And how long does that normally take? Like,
it depends on the college. I went through Santa Ana College. That was a 1-year process. So 2 semesters. I want to say about 7 to 8 different courses at that college in preparation to go to the fire academy.
They'll give you an aerosol with a lighter and they go,
yeah,
realize that the hair goes off your arm.
Yeah. That would have been really cool. Yeah. Storytelling, you know, kind of get you exposure. So when you do get into the station and you go on those ride-alongs, it's fascinating, still exciting, but now you're seeing it for yourself.
Got it.
Yeah.
So have you been in situations that you say, man, this is scary? Have you seen, what depth have you got to in terms of what you've seen?
As far as like being scared, not necessarily. I think there's been a lot of situations where I have been inside of a structure fire and you're just basically thinking, just do things right. Don't mess up, do things right, and communicate with my partners, you know, just getting the job done. So I think the being scared part, I haven't gotten in a situation where I felt scared yet, right? So, but
The yet on that sentence
yes,
scared me a little.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different visualizations that I can kind of picture where my current fire department, where I'm at, where we're on an Air Force base or Army base, where there's a lot of aircraft, fixed wing, rotary wing aircrafts landing and taking off. Where if they go down, there's potential a lot of different hazardous materials and fuels and flames that can come about.
So like, even that, back to the mental part, like when you're in a situation, there's one thing with seeing someone inside that situation versus me standing on the outside watching. It must be very different, right? Like you actually being surrounded by fire or being in that situation. The training that you get, is that a part of it too, of being in that situation versus being an outsider saying, oh, I can just run in and run out?
Yeah, I would say so. I think because being a firefighter, it's so much task and teamwork oriented.
Got it.
Right. A lot of times a captain would delegate, hey, let's take care of this assignment. And it's just, okay, we're all focused on going and grabbing ladders or grabbing hose and taking it to a situation, then meeting up and communicating and going forward from there. Right. So I think it's very task oriented. So but at the same time, you can't get tunnel vision. That's something that they talk about a lot too. You can't get too fixated on one particular task, and you also have the awareness of your surroundings, right? Because everything is always evolving, right?
Nice. So back to the working out. So now, where did Formula Fitness come from? Because that is obviously, this is deviating completely off what you were setting out to do. It changed into firefighting, and then all of a sudden you land with a personal training gym. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I've been training for most of my life pretty much, and I was at a Garden Grove Fire Department, is now Orange County Fire Authority, in 2015, and at the time I was on probation at the time, and
probation
as a firefighter. So there's a 1-year probationary period. Where you need to go through all the different training. You need to prove yourself that, hey, you're worthy of being a competent firefighter and get along with all the different guys, because it is a family situation. You live and work with these guys all the time, right? So, there's that big trust factor, right? So, anyways, my wife was 2 weeks past due.
So you had got married while you're in the fire department, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, so I was already married. Amber's 2 weeks past due. I think it was 9 months into my career there. And a lot of the firefighters got sent up north and for the wildland fires. And they didn't send me because they knew my wife was past due. And I was getting forced hard a lot of the days. And I was like, man, what if I was able or wouldn't be able to see my first daughter born, right? So that always kind of crossed my mind. And the timing wasn't really right. And I decided, you know what, I can't just stay at a fire department, even though I worked so hard. All my friends and I'm sure my family members are like, man, Tony, what are you doing? You worked so hard for this. And, 2,000 people applied for this position. Only 2-3 of you guys got hired. And what are you doing? And so,
and the odds that's pretty low odds.
Yeah, it's low odds. And I told myself, I kind of knew hey, if I leave, it's probably likely I probably won't get hired back, because, it's questionable when I'm on another background investigation. Hey, why'd you leave for? So it wasn't because it was too tough or anything like that. I actually enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed my career, enjoyed the fire department, but the timing wasn't right. I didn't want to get tied down just for a paycheck, right? So you know what? If it's meant to be, I can get back. But anyways, I resigned 5 days before my first daughter was born.
Wow.
So, not an easy decision at all. So anyways.
And so you resign and you've left now because your daughter's gonna be born. You want to make sure that you're there. You don't want to miss this event, which is priority, number one.
Exactly. So.
And so are you making income right now, or you're not making income at this point, or you're doing some little side jobs?
I think I had a little bit of money saved up. I mean, I wasn't well off by all means, but I'm thankful enough where I've grown so much as a personal trainer and have that background and being diverse in multiple skill sets as a paramedic, where I had that job stability or security where I could work as a personal trainer and do okay. So, but that's what I fell back onto is I went became a personal trainer again. And then I started personal training out of my garage.
Okay.
So out of my house, right?
So you're constantly doing this while you were firefighting, or you just start like promoting it more?
I started promoting it more. When I was a firefighter, I pretty much, the training was almost non-existent. I maybe did a couple of training sessions here and there, but very minimal.
So you're reverting back to the skills you got at Bally's and 24-hour fitness. So these are the skills you got. And you're saying, oh, well, I can do something. So what do you just start buying mats for your garage? Like, what do you do?
I think how it all started was it just started slowly building a small little collection. I always imagine just like your business, it started, in this warehouse, you have a little bit here, then you made this, so it slowly built up time. And, I spent a lot of time and energy, and a lot of nights in there just looking around, hey, what should I do next? But yeah, it slowly built up. So
are you nervous making this move? Like how nervous?
Oh yeah, it was scary. It was scary, but I've always been one of those guys where I read those different books and listened to different like mentors. And, one of the things for growth or one of the things to better yourself. And I've always been that guy that's always been insecure or had very low self-esteem growing up. And where I'm at right now, I would have never imagined, thinking myself where I'm at right now in my life, then, not at all, right? Yeah. But anyways, stepping outside my comfort zone and taking risks, that's all a part of growing, right? Yeah. So if you don't do something, I've always followed a certain quote, like if it's not scary, if the goal is not scary, it's not worth pursuing, you know, right? So it needs to be scary to be worth pursuing,
yes,
right? For it to mean something to you. Yeah.
So okay, so you're putting stuff together in your garage, you're getting people in, and where do you feel like it's starting to take off, or do you feel like you're going to quit? Is it not going as well as it should? When do you kind of know, like, oh, maybe this is turning into something? Like, what was the progression in that?
I think I got pretty busy quickly. And
who was your first client first? Like, where did that person come from?
I don't remember if it was my exact first client. I had a group of different clients that have followed me from different gyms, from 24-hour fitnesses. I did some marketing, a lot of referrals. So when you do good work, you get some referrals. So that's kind of how it all started, just one-on-one personal training at a garage. 35 people were coming there.
Oh, you had about 35 people come to your house?
Yeah, so 35 come to my house. And
neighbors weren't complaining about all these cars, thinking that there was drug deals going on.
Yeah, right.
in the garage.
Luckily, it was one car at a time, so it's not too big of a deal. But yeah, all the neighbors knew, and no one complained. I talked to the neighbors; everyone was fine. That was a concern at first, though. Yeah. That was a concern at first, but everyone was fine with it. And yeah, you got to keep peace with your neighbors, and everything's fine. Can't play the music too loud, right? So
you go to your wife. We need a bigger garage.
Yeah, exactly, right. So. But I did that for about a year and a half. It took me about like 8 months to get to that point. Okay. And about like 6 to 8 months, maybe a year, it was just kind of going through the motions. This is too easy. Just wake up. And I was only doing it 3 days a week. Oh. And two days out of the week, I was waking up 4:30 in the morning, self-study, marketing, web development, coding, software, so I for Tuesdays and Thursdays, I did that for 8 to 10, 12 hours straight. And on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I worked from 5 a.m. up until like about 2. Yeah. And I would do a little bit of stuff in the afternoon. But it was all like business, grinding, learning, YouTube videos, Googling, reading, going to conferences. So that was what I was doing for quite a while in the hopes of doing like online personal training. But it's a whole different type of ball game to go down that route. Yeah. And it's something that I like, but you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't you can't breathe it. So to have the interaction with a real person and to push someone and inspire someone is so much more different.
So at what point do you feel like, okay, this thing is working, it's time for me to go and get a location? When does that come into your mind?
Yeah, I think that came after.
How's the conversation with your wife saying, hey, it's time?
Yeah, I think she was a part of it, and I was like looking around, I was telling myself, hey, I want to grow. Yeah. It became stagnant. It was just, I could just do this in my sleep pretty much, right? Just because I've been doing it for so long and I enjoyed it, right? And I was asking myself, like, how do I grow? Like, do I have trainers come to the garage, or, do I have multiple people? Then there's like multiple car situations. That's not something I wanted for my neighbors, because if I was one of the neighbors, I wouldn't really want that, right? And also that separation, that work-life balance, right? Of home and clients coming over, them going into the house using the restroom, things of that sort. So, I mean, it was cool because although all the clients like knew my wife, knew my daughter, and everyone knew each other, that was really cool. But at the same time, I wanted that separation. I wanted to grow. So I decided, hey, you know what? I have to get a place where I can hire people, where I can have multiple people, I can have groups to scale. Yeah.
So you go out there, you find a location, and then you open the doors, you bring the people who are coming to your house to the location, and that's gets you off the ground, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
do you have an idea of how you're going to design it? Like, where do all these ideas come from?
Yeah, I had really no idea. I think the biggest one was finding a location first and going forward from there, right? What type of space do I have to work with, right? So, the spot I'm in right now, it's actually relatively pretty small. I think it's at most 1,100, 1,200 square feet.
Was the lease scary though? Like signing a lease and saying you're on the hook for $1,000 a month?
It was definitely very scary for me, and looking at the numbers and what it would increase to, because I took over as a sublease.
Yes.
As a previous business, things didn't work out, or I think he started another business or whatever it may be. So he was subleasing to me. So I did get a discount to get in. Yeah. So that made it easy. But looking at the numbers, after the 1 year is up, I was like, okay, like this is scary, right? Yeah. So, but at the same time, even though it's scary, you have to kind of, that also pushed me, right, to do more to prepare for those situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay, so your gym, the way it works, like, with personal training and stuff, it's it sounds very intimidating, because when people think of personal training, they think someone's going to say, push, 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 and they're expecting someone to scream at them.
Yes, that's Hollywood.
You see, I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah.
So like with personal training, like what's the expectation? Like, a lot of people fail, but what's the expectation when someone's coming in? How do you help someone be more successful? What's the success in this?
I think just kind of going back onto what you just mentioned as a personal trainer, there's just so many different styles as personal training. Yeah. And some trainers want to do the drill sergeant route. Some can be mellow, some can be in between. So it's just like teachers. Yeah, all teachers have different styles, right? But going back to your question, as far as what has made me successful is making people feel comfortable, ensuring them that the personal training doesn't have to be and need to be a super painful process, right? So my approach to fitness is more progression. My approach to fitness is also embracing what a lot of people's bodies needs, like better posture, better alignment, better breathing techniques, better lifestyle, right? So embracing different methods of yoga, Pilates, strength, functional training, metabolic conditioning, what I understand and what happens in the body hormonally, or using certain medications as a paramedic, allows me to look at the overall picture and select one or two different things to focus on initially in the very beginning, because keeping things simple is probably one of the most effective ways to solving problems, right?
So now in your gym, you do a lot of recovery too. And, like I know the Parker had used these metal knuckle duster looking things on my legs, which was kind of strange by itself. Like what he was doing, like I haven't probably touched my toes since 1886, which is never. and that thing, like I was kind of surprised of how I was able to bend over, which is the weirdest thing, because I was more fascinated with bending over than even the workout, because I go, how the hell am I doing this? So where does the recovery portion, because that's a key portion, part of what you do there, which is not normal. Like I haven't really seen that before. Yeah,
I think it organically happened, and the reason why is because as a football player, you get a lot of injuries, right? So I remember seeking out different physical therapists, working with certain different personal trainers and counterparts that specialize in this, which we call hybrid personal trainers, which are not necessarily physical therapists, not necessarily personal trainers, but in between. And it became my niche because all the clients that were referred to me or are working with had different issues. Well, if you're in pain or if you have different issues, that changes the way you move. You'll compensate to avoid a certain particular type of movement. Or what a lot of people do when they go to their doctors, which don't specialize in movement, they specialize in medicine. They just say, hey, just rest and take some ibuprofen, some Advil or whatever it may be. But that kind of messes up your motivation. That messes up the how do you call it? The work and the progress that you've already made, right? So I was like, how do I get that? How do I fix this? So the recovery techniques, understanding flexibility, when you really truly understand the body and how muscles pull on your bones. So a lot of times people will say, oh, my knee hurts. I understand your knee hurts. It's like, we need to stretch your quads. It's my knee. I understand it's your knee, but the knee is not the root of the cause. You have a lot of big muscles pulling on the patella, right, which is the knee bone, right? And when those huge muscles are always constantly pulling on them, well, now you have excessive friction against the joints. Yeah. So what if we were able to loosen up that muscle? So now that constant pull is not happening. Yeah. So that's just an easy way to explain of some of the philosophies that I embrace into my programming for my clients, to not only make sure that they move, because it helps them move better, because when you're more flexible, you can have better form, you move better, but you feel better too, because there's been many times in my life where I felt like I looked like I was in a really great shape, but I didn't feel very good. Got it. So I try to embrace that a little bit more.
So like, you make everybody wear like, this is my one, but yes. Everyone wears these little things.
Yes.
Why do you do that? Like, well, I get, we see the heart rate and stuff, the burn zone and points. Like, yes. Why do you make everyone wear that?
I make everyone wear them because it allows me and also the client to see where they're at, right? So,
and what was this called?
This is called Myzone.
Myzone, okay.
Myzone. So Myzone is the company. Is actually based out of the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're based out of the UK, and obviously they've made an impact here in the US. And one of my mentors, Todd Durkin, based out of San Diego, and we had a little mentorship mastermind group going on, and they mentioned this. And I was like, hey, I was shopping between this brand, and Myzone is the decision I decided to go with, and no complaints at all. I'm happy I made that decision. So, but yeah, going back to your question, why I make people use it is because most people, when they're made the decision, hey, I want to get healthy, they're highly motivated, which is good. Yeah. And they'll come into the gym and, hey, I'm not too sure if I'm going hard enough or am I going too easy? So instead of, to make sure that they're getting good results, they're just going to go all out.
Good, that's right.
Right? But at the same time, how long can you sustain that, right? It's just like work. You can't go all out every single day. You're going to burn yourself out, right? So, but this allows the client to see, hey, you know what? You want to float in the medium zones for particular exercises until you feel you're ready. There's a time and place for high intensity interval training, but one of the biggest reasons why is the accountability. So when I give you a homework assignment, Omar, I need you to do 2 cardio sessions a week, right? And I need you to wear that. If you don't wear it, the workout doesn't count. Yeah. You wear it, I can see how long you work out for, what the workout intensity is at, and all the information, the calories, the exertion, what zones you're in, how long you're in each zone. That provides me a lot of valuable information. But one of the biggest benefits is this: the client starts to understand their own health. They start to understand their heart rates, how low it is, how high it is, because the lower your heart rate, the better as far as recovery goes. I mean, it can go up high, but if it comes down quick, that's good. Or at a rest, if you notice your resting heart rate's lower, that lets you know the most important muscle in your body is getting stronger, which is the heart.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah, no, because I see it, because I'm seeing the red zone and the color zones, and you realize how tired you are when you see how far you're pushing yourself, and really it's like, oh my God, I need it to come down a little because I feel uncomfortable.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like when people start training, just like myself, they're literally throwing up in the first 5 minutes. Hopefully
they can
not.
be. Yeah, they can be, but that's not typically our approach. Yeah.
So like even with that exertion of trying to work out, even though you think you can do more, like even with me, like the acid that was coming up and I'm ready to bend over my knees, like how does that, like, why is that happening? Like why is that happening to people?
I mean, everyone's body is a little bit different. You come across certain individuals where they'll just have like some water before, hey, I can't drink any water during the workout. I just feel like I'm going to gag or throw up or any type of food. Your body adapts to everything that you do. And if you haven't been eating, breakfast or anything all your life and all of a sudden you're eating breakfast, you may respond a little bit differently to that, right? So, but yeah, I would say it is a defense mechanism where when you feel nauseous, when you feel dizzy, when you feel like throwing up, it's your body telling you, hey, it's time to slow down a little bit, right? So, but is that good to be to that point? No, I wouldn't say I don't enjoy feeling that way. I sometimes, depending on on how rest I am, how much stress is going through my life, what my particular goals are, sometimes I like to get close to that point, but I don't like to be in that point.
Can it be discouraging for people when they feel like they haven't achieved a lot? Like obviously you go through a lot of people who come to you and you see people succeed, you see people fail, but can it be very discouraging for people if they feel like they can't break a certain barrier, or should they just continue and be patient to progress?
I think, yes, there are certain individuals, and I would say not every single client is successful in what they initially thought they wanted to achieve.
So we have that fantasy that we're going to go there and magically walk in and out. I've got my 12 pack.
Yeah, the 12 pack, or I want to lose 600 pounds or 100 pounds, whatever it may be, right? So, but one thing that a lot of people should also consider is how they feel. Are they more healthier? Are they stronger? Are they sleeping better? Do they have more energy, right? Do they have more enthusiasm? Are they happier, right? Those are all different type of metrics or different things you should consider too, right? Yeah. So a lot of the outside factors away from the gym also is a huge factor too, right? The way you eat, the lifestyle you live. Are you willing to make those different type of adjustments to gain a little bit more of a aesthetic type of look? Because aesthetics is a whole different ballgame as far as putting the extra work in and everything like that too, right? So, but yes, I would say not every single client gets the exact results that they want, but I still have a lot of clients, even though they didn't get the exact goals that they wanted initially in the very beginning, realize, wow, like even though I didn't want that was the goal before, my goals have shifted. I really enjoy the way I feel. I enjoy the way I perform. I'm happier as a husband, as a friend, right? As a business owner, right? So, but yeah, those are some common situations that arise.
So how do you balance, like having the fire department stuff that you're doing plus the gym stuff that you're doing? How do you balance that with like your home life? Like, because obviously you're either there at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, you're sleeping at the fire department. How do you balance that?
I think there's never truly a balance. There's never a true, pure balance when I'm, feel like, hey, I'm just very happy with everything, right? Because business, the fire department, my family is always on my mind, right? So I would say what has helped me though is planning, right? So planning has been a big thing that I preach, and it has certain other mentors like a Mike McKay or Darshan Sharma that has taught me, and also books and other mentors have showed me to planning is very important, because a lot of times people will plan for very important things in their life, like business, right? Business plan, things like that. But when do people ever plan for their own lives, right? Financially, their husbands, their wives, their family, and have it written down, like a formal business plan. So I call this a personal business plan. So that's one thing I do every single year. Once a week, I time block, just look at the week. Where am I going to work out? Where am I going to go grocery shopping? Where am I going to spend time with the kids? Right? Just like today, I time block, hey, after this is my time to spend time with the kids, because I have all kinds of other things going on, like poker and football tomorrow, right? So
Visit wife on Tuesday, see kids on Thursday.
So I mean, it is unfortunate that I have to plan because I'm so busy, right? But it's something that I enjoy, and it allows me to have some type of structure. And I try to protect all my time, but sometimes, super urgent things arise and make some small modifications. But for the most part, I try to, whatever I plan, I stick to.
Yeah, I kind of struggle with that, because my being entrepreneurial, or my business, it really does consume me. It's day, morning, night, 1 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning. Like it just consumes how much time I have to put into this place because it's in such demand, and the kids drop them off to school, pick them up. It just never lets you breathe. That's why it's very hard. That's why when you tell me you're blocking out time, it makes sense. But it's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah. Just like I think for, a lot of people who have like certain businesses and typically they'll always like sit down and kind of brainstorm and come up with a solution. Do the same thing for your personal life. Hey, I don't like how this is going. What could I do? Try it out. Doesn't work. Try a different thing out until you find something that you're happy with.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Tony, I want to thank you very much for coming in. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. And I appreciate everything you're doing for myself and sharing to the audience.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Tony.